I love a recipe with a backstory, and that's the case in these brownies, which are supposed to be from the late and great Hollywood actress Katharine Hepburn. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sonia, and I'm very happy that you've stopped by. So the story goes that a neighbor of Katharine Hepburn's in New York had heard that she had been in a car accident and was recovering, so he brought around a plate of brownies to make her feel better. She comes to the door, she takes one bite, and she proceeds to tell him in only Katharine Hepburn's way what's wrong with them. Basically, too much flour. Then she begins to give him her recipe for brownies, to which he rapidly scribbles them down. And his daughter later published this recipe and said, this is the one. This is the one that came from Miss Hepburn. So, first things first, you want to preheat the oven to 325 Fahrenheit, or that's 165 Celsius, or gas mark 3. Then you want to line with parchment paper and butter an 8 by 8 or 20 by 20 centimeter baking pan and set that aside. Now for our ingredients, we have half a cup of cocoa, or you can do 2 squares or 57 grams of unsweetened chocolate. I think probably cocoa was in the original recipe, so that's what I'm going with today. Then 1 stick or half a cup of unsalted butter. That's 4 ounces or 112 grams. 1 cup or 200 grams of granulated sugar. 2 eggs. 1/4 cup or 31 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a pinch of salt, and 1 cup or 125 grams of roughly chopped walnuts or pecans. Now I've put the cocoa in a heavy saucepan. I'm going to melt the butter and the cocoa, or if you go for chocolate, together. These are 1/4 cup sticks, which is why there are 2. I've softened this butter just a little bit. I'm going to turn that on medium-low heat. We're going to whisk that constantly until it's blended. It'll take just a few minutes. Okay, I think everything is just well blended. And now we're going to take it off our heat and add the rest of our ingredients. Okay, now we're going to stir in our sugar. And now our eggs. And I like cracking my eggs separately just in case there's a problem. Every once in a while you might get a bad one, or you might get shell, and you certainly don't want to get shell in your recipe. So we add our eggs and our vanilla. I feel it gets a little on the thick side. Now we're going to add in our flour. Remember, this is what Miss Hepburn said was the problem with the brownies that were brought over. They had too much flour, she told him. So these are going to end up being really thick and fudgy when they're cooked, when they're baked. and just a pinch of salt. I always add a little salt into baking sweet items. It just seems to help bring out the sweetness. And you don't taste it because you put in so little. And then our walnuts, which have been fairly roughly chopped. And now we're going to pour all this into our prepared baking dish. All right, and into the oven it goes. All right. About 40 minutes. All right, it has been 40 minutes. Let's do the toothpick test. Let's see if a toothpick's inserted in the center comes out clean. And yes, it does. You just want a little crumb on it. Now, as much as we all love a warm, fresh brownie, you have to let these cool down completely before you can cut them because they are so fudgy. You don't want to get all that on your knife and not enough on your plate. So we're going to let these cool down completely before we cut them into squares. Now, in order to help along the cooling, I left them in the pan about 15 minutes and then lifted them out with a parchment paper and put them on a rack. Okay, it's actually been several hours since these brownies cooled. I got busy doing some other things, and so they are nice and cool to try to cut now. So you want to be sure to use a very sharp knife. These are going to be very fudgy, and they may be somewhat difficult to slice cleanly, but let's find out. I'm also going to slice the edge to make them neat and uniform looking for tea. Okay, I didn't do too badly. So I'll just do it that way. Not too bad. Oh, that looks so pretty, and it looks so very fudgy. You can see the walnuts in there. That looks really good. All right, let's give it a try. Those are very good. Chocolatey. The nuts cut the sweetness just a little bit, so it's not overly so. And if you cut them small like this, it's perfect for afternoon tea. And it's wonderful to have a recipe that has a little bit of a backstory that you can share with your friends. That's always fun. I hope you like this recipe. I hope you'll try it. And I hope you like this video. If you did, consider giving it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more afternoon tea videos. Until next time, bye-bye.